What's up, gamer? My name's Oluko, and today I'm going to show you how to use one of Diablo 4's most useful features, the loot filter. When you get to the end game, you start getting tons and tons of items from basically everything that you do. It can get really tiring to look at each of them individually and figure out what's good versus what's not, but that's where the loot filter comes in. You can decide what items it hides, what items it shows, and even what color items are highlighted with based on any criteria you can think of for each item. To set up a loot filter for yourself, you first need to go into the options menu, then to the gameplay section, and scroll down until you find the loot filter options at the bottom of the first section. Click the checkbox next to the Enable Loot Filter shortcut on Game menu option, save changes, then back out of the options menu to return to the main pause menu. With that option enabled, you should now see a loot filter button below the options button. Click that and you'll end up on the main screen for loot filters. You're allowed to have many different loot filters and swap between them at will. If you don't already have any, then the first thing you need to do is click the new filter button on the top left to create a new one. When you click the button, you'll get this window that lets you choose between making a filter yourself and importing someone else's. We'll go over how to import filters later, but for now, just select the Create New Loot Filter option on the top, enter a name if you want, then click Confirm. A loot filter consists of up to 25 different rules. A rule decides which items should be hidden or which items should be shown, and each one should have one specific purpose that can easily be defined. One common rule that will probably exist in many people's loot filters is a rule that hides gear of low rarity levels. By the time you're all geared up and farming in the endgame, you probably won't care too much about most blue or yellow rarity items, so it'd make things far easier if you didn't even have to look at them when they drop. To make a rule like that, click the Add Rule button and an empty rule will pop up in the left panel. In the rule editor on the right side, you should now see the Edit Title button, the Add Condition button, and the Visibility drop-down menu. First, let's give this rule a descriptive name like Hide Low Rarity Items, then we can talk about the Visibility menu. The default option for this menu is set to Show. Our goal with this rule is to hide low rarity items instead of showing them, so click on the drop down button and you'll see 4 options. As you might have guessed, the Show option will cause any item that meets the conditions of this rule to be shown on your screen as normal when the item drops. The Recolor option will also cause any item that meets the conditions of this rule to be shown on your screen when it drops, but selecting this option will also give you an extra option that lets you pick a color. The color you pick will then be applied to the names of any items that meet the conditions of this rule, both on the ground and in your inventory. Recolor is particularly useful for highlighting items that have powerful affixes on them. Next, we have the 2 options for hiding items. The Hide Text Label option will only hide the label that you normally click on to grab the item from the ground, while the Hide All option will also hide any glowing effects that would normally be shown around the item based on its rarity. Both options prevent the bad items from getting in your way and cluttering your inventory, so feel free to choose whichever one you like better. For this example, we'll pick Hide All. Now that we have the visibility set correctly, we need to decide which conditions make the most sense for what we're trying to do with this rule. To start, click on the Add Condition button. The first one it gives us is a condition based on our range of item power, but that's not really what we're looking for. With this rule, we're trying to hide items based on their rarity, not their item power. To change which condition is being checked, click the drop-down button in the condition column. You'll see that there are actually quite a few different conditions that we can check for, but the one that matches our goal best is the one called Item Rarity Match. Select that option and you'll see the values in the property column have changed from a range between 2 numbers to several different checkboxes with the names of each item rarity level in the game. Our goal with this rule is to hide all low rarity items, which in the endgame would mean anything below legendary. So to do that, we just have to click the checkboxes next to the common, magic, and rare options. Once that's done, you could save your changes, then continue playing the game, and you would find that every item that drops for you at any of the rarities that you selected would simply stop showing up. That's all well and good, but it's also only a fraction of what can be done with loot filters. For the sake of our example, let's say we really enjoy collecting the new charm items no matter how low their rarity is, so we want charms of all rarities to show, but we still want to hide the low rarity items of all other types. To make that happen, all we need to do is make another rule. Click the Add Rule button again, and you'll see the second rule get added to the list above the one that we already made. This is important because each rule in your loot filter will override any rules that are beneath it in the rule list. In other words, rules that are at the top of the list have higher priority than the rules that are at the bottom of the list. If you want to change the order of any rules in the list, you can click on the up or down arrows to the left of each rule's name. So, with that in mind and your new rule selected, let's change the name of this rule to Show All Charms, and we'll leave the visibility option set to Show. Click Add Condition, and click on the condition dropdown to see what our options are. As we said, our goal with this rule is to show all charms, and charms are a type of item, so this time we'll want to use the item type match condition. With that selected, the property column will change to a weird box with a magnifying glass button next to it. Click the magnifying glass, and a new menu will open up with every type of item that can be equipped by the character that you're currently logged in with. If you want to look at every type of item in the game, you can click the Show All Classes checkbox in the top right corner, but that's not really relevant to us right now, so I'll leave it unchecked. Now, with every relevant type of item in the game before us, the only one we want to see through our loot filter at all rarities is charms. So just click the checkbox next to the charm option, then click confirm. Now if you save your changes and go back to the game, you'll see that any charm will be shown no matter how low its rarity is, even though we also have the rule that says to hide all the low rarity items. This is because the show charms rule that we just made is listed above the hide low rarity items rule that we made first, so the show rule takes precedence. Let's add one last rule to this example filter. One other reason that loot filters are so useful is that they can also highlight items that might be good for your character as they drop, making it very easy for you to identify which items to pay attention to. To do that, we usually want to make the item show up in an unusual color when they have modifiers that we care about. So let's add another rule, call it highlight good items, then we need to change the visibility option from show to recolor. After that, go to the color option and pick whichever color you want. For now, we'll go with pink. The most important thing about any item you equip on your character is what affixes are on the item. You want as many affixes as possible that will make you either deal more damage or survive more damage. One stat that's very useful for helping you survive damage is the maximum life affix. You can get it from every type of item, and it's not a bad idea to get as much life as you can, but you don't really want maximum life affixes on your weapons because that takes away an affix slot that could give you more damage instead. So what we want to do with this rule is highlight any legendary items that are not weapons that also have a maximum life affix. With that in mind, let's add our first condition. First, we'll start with the item rarity match condition. It doesn't matter which order the conditions are added because an item must meet every condition within a rule for that rule to be applied. Since we only care about legendary rarity items for this rule, we'll only select the legendary checkbox in the property column. After that's done, we'll add another condition, and this time we need to set it to item type match. We want the maximum life affix on every item slot except for our weapons, so for this condition we want to select every option in the armor and jewelry categories, then click confirm. Lastly, we need to add one more condition to specify that we're looking for the maximum life affix. To do that, we'll use the has required affixes condition, click the magnifying glass, then you can either scroll through the big long list of every affix in the game, or you can use the search bar at the top to find maximum life. Click the checkbox next to it, then click confirm and save your changes. If you go back to playing the game with this rule in place, anytime you see an item drop with a pink label, you'll be able to tell at a glance that it's a non-weapon legendary item that already has maximum life rolled on it, so the item may be worth looking at. Also, it's important to remember that every build has different priorities for different affixes, so your build may not actually care that much about maximum life. This is just for the sake of the example. We haven't gone over every single option available in every condition to show off everything you can do with a loot filter, but if we did that, this video would probably be about 2 hours long. Either way, that pretty much covers the basics of building up your own loot filter. Just make sure you have one clearly defined goal for each rule, and be very careful to make sure that you get each rule listed in the correct order of priority from top to bottom in the rule list. Even with all that out of the way though, there is still one more thing we need to go over, which is importing loot filters from other people. To do that, you first need to copy a giant code that's generated by the loot filter's creator. If you're the one trying to share a loot filter with other people, you can generate that code by clicking on this button with 3 dots next to the name of your loot filter, then click export. This will copy the code to your clipboard, which you can then paste into whatever social media or messaging app you're trying to share it through. If you're the one trying to import the loot filter from someone else, just copy the giant code that they give you by highlighting it, then pressing Ctrl and C. Once you have the loot filter code copied to your clipboard, go back to the loot filter menu in-game, click the new filter button, select the import loot filter option, then click the import code button. The game will automatically retrieve the code from your clipboard, then you can click the confirm button to finish importing it to your new filter. After the import's completed, don't forget to click the Save Changes button at the bottom because imported filters do not get saved by default. If you want to try importing the example filter that we built up in this video, I'll leave the filter's import code in the pinned comment down below. Like I said earlier, those are the basics of setting up a loot filter in Diablo 4. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments or in my chat while I'm live both here and on Twitch. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more like it. Lastly, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.